We are delighted to welcome our next speaker, Benjamin Schorn, the founder and director of the Institute for Governance and Psychology. A forensic specialist with several years of experience conducting special forensic investigations in suspected criminal cases, he most recently worked at KPMG in Munich, where he was involved in the investigation of the Wirecard scandal. He says, "We often think of compliance as a legal discipline, where it is indeed much more of human psychology. Our goal is to help compliance professionals integrate behavioral economics into their practice to effectively prevent and detect fraud."
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the very kind introduction, and a warm welcome also goes out to all of our participants today who are watching us from all over the world, from their homes or from their offices as well. I'm really glad to be here, and in the next 15 minutes approximately, I try to shed some light on the question why and how people get corrupt. However, instead of focusing and talking about on character traits like narcissism or psychopathy or greedy managers, I'd rather like to demonstrate why and how a normal person like you and me can get corrupt. And this normal person today is my good friend Peter. And Peter is actually right here. I know you can't see him because Peter is right here in my pocket. So please, let us all welcome my friend Peter, a deck of playing cards. And I know what you might think now, isn't that kind of nerdy and weird to call a deck of playing cards a personal friend? Well, maybe it is. However, what you might not know is that my friend Peter here has more in common with us human beings than you might think. Because like every single one of us, Peter perceives himself as a person with strong ethical principles. And indeed, he hasn't committed any frauds so far, and he's always behaving in line with the rules and regulations. Or in other words, Peter is one of the good guys. And like everyone else, like us, Peter, like I said, hasn't committed any fraud so far. And, he is not quite sure how to handle specific situations, like fraudulent situations. And his boss now, and you must know that Peter is a financial controller. And as a financial controller, Peter is responsible for the budget numbers. And now one day, Peter's boss comes to him and says to him, "Look, Peter, you know what? Would you please do me a favor? Would you please take 2 slides out of the PowerPoint presentation, which you're already doing for the budget with the top management meeting? Because you know what? I don't really want the top management to know what our actual budget is in this situation." And my friend Peter here, he got a little bit irritated by it, right? And Peter's asking himself, is that really legit what my boss is asking for? And he's thinking about, okay, should I decline it? Or should I even choose a different kind of option, how to behave? However, his boss says, in the second, Peter raises his hand, and Peter says, you know what? Or he even thinks, I would like to raise some concerns because I'm not quite sure if this is right, if I should handle the situation like this. His boss says, you know what, Peter, calm down. This is not a problem at all because everyone around here does it. It's business as usual. And you know what? If someone asks, I take full responsibility for it. So what happens with Peter's concerns here? They start to vanish and vanish and vanish and vanish away since they are not there anymore, right? So his concerns are away. However, Peter is still quite insecure on how to handle the situation, right? He gets a little bit nervous. His thoughts are circulating. He gets a little bit mixed up inside himself. But then he remembers his boss saying, you know what, Peter? It's business as usual. And so Peter doesn't want to be the only person in his company, in his peer group, who would step out of the line and who would not conform. So he decides to take out a slide out of the presentation. And then Peter gets a little bit further, thinking about should he do it, shouldn't he do it? But then he remembers his boss saying, you know what, Peter, I take full responsibility for it. So even if it was wrong to not being fully transparent with the top management regarding the budget numbers, if it wouldn't be his fault. So he decides to put out another slide out of the PowerPoint presentation. But the thing is, it did not end here. So in the next couple of weeks, Peter's boss comes to him again, asking for the same thing. And a week later, again and again and again. But he's not only asking Peter for taking out some slides out of the PowerPoint presentation, he's also asking Peter to manipulate the numbers in the presentation, right? Manipulate the numbers one step further. And what about Peter? Well, my good friend Peter here, he does it. He follows the lead of his boss. But that is not the remarkable thing about it. What is really remarkable is that it changed because it doesn't feel that much uncomfortable anymore for Peter as it has been in the first place, right? In the beginning, Peter was slowly thinking about, should I change the numbers? Should I take out some slides out of the PowerPoint presentation? And now it felt much more comfortable. It felt like business as usual, right? So he was leaning back, felt really casual. His boss says, Peter, please take out 2 slides. And he says, you know what? Not a problem at all. I take out a slide out of the PowerPoint presentation. His boss says, please manipulate the numbers. And Peter says, you know what? Not a problem at all. I manipulate the numbers, right, in this situation. So he manipulated the numbers and he took out slides out of the PowerPoint presentation in this moment. So he double-crossed, right, in the situation. Now, what you have witnessed here in this situation is the superpower of our brain, which is called rationalization, right? In neurobiological studies, scientists found out that if we lie, if we do something wrong, the amygdala, which is our anxiety control system of our brain, gives us a really uncomfortable feeling, right? That tells us you did something wrong, don't do that again. However, if we lie and lie again and again and again, if we take out slides out of the deck again and again and again, the uncomfortable feeling, which is called cognitive dissonance, right? The uncomfortable feeling which our amygdala gives us, it fades away, right? It's not there anymore. So our amygdala, it sort of gives up in the moment. It gives up because it has learned that this kind of behavior hasn't got any negative consequences for us, right? Like Peter, do you remember? Peter's got a clean white vest, right? He perceives himself as someone with a white vest, with high ethical standards. There are no dirty stains on it. There are no red flag behavior. There is no managing in the gray within inside him. So he's got a clean record, a white vest. He hasn't done anything wrong so far. That is at least how he thinks about him. And here comes the superpower of our brain, which is called rationalization. Although he committed fraud, right? Let's do it. Committed fraud. If you see, he manipulates the numbers, red flag behavior. Our brain tells us, you know what, Peter, not a problem at all. You are still a worthy person. You have nothing to worry, right? Even though Peter would go one step further and would say, okay, I'm not only changing the numbers, I'm not only manipulating the numbers, I am also changing financial statement data and so on, right? So committing a fraud again, right? Within a snap, he has committed a fraud again, demonstrating red flag behavior. I could do that again and again and again. Every time we would do something wrong, right? As you can see here, every time we would do something wrong, as you can see here, within one snap, right? Within one snap, we are able to change the numbers in the deck, in the PowerPoint presentation, and so on. So let me be clear in the situation, right? What we had now is Peter committing one fraud after the other, right? Managing in the gray, managing in the black. He hasn't got his white vest anymore. Red flag behavior all over him. Now, if we do that, and let's say we've got only one tiny piece of us, one tiny piece of light within ourselves that behaves in line with the rules and regulations, and which is in between the whole mess, right? You see the red flag behavior, you see the managing in the black behavior, and you've got only one tiny piece of light inside yourself that is right in the middle, right? Right in the middle of your dirty behavior. And you get more mixed up. You get really, really mixed up here. You get dirtier and dirtier. You committed fraud again and again and again. The superpower of our brain is able, within one snap, to bring everything back into perfect order, as you can see here, into perfect order, and focusing on the one piece of light within inside yourself that tells you, you know what, Peter, you are one of the good guys. You have a clean white vest, right? A clean white vest, a clean record. So he perceives himself, although he did commit fraud, he perceives himself as a person with strong ethical principles, high ethical standards, and that he's one of the good guys. My name is Benjamin Schorn. I am the founder of the Institute for Governance and Psychology, and this was the power and the danger of rationalization, which can guide good people into bad behavior. Even though the media is portraying the typical criminal manager as a narcissist, a psychopath, or a greedy manager, the vast majority of corporate fraudsters are normal persons like you and me, and like Peter, of course, right? They are not mentally ill. They don't have a personality disorder. They are normal managers, normal persons who are working in corporations and who are behaving wrong situationally in their professional context, right? So, from my perspective, from my point of view, it's really fundamental to understand why and how good people like Peter can get corrupt. Otherwise, you only see, right? You only see that someone is not behaving right. Red flag behavior. You see that in most cases after it already happened, right? But that is not enough. That is not enough in these situations, right? You have to understand it. And you only can understand it if you change your perspective. Once you change your perspective, you are able to see the magic behind it. You see exactly what's happening, and you see the magic behind the why and how people, normal people like Peter, are committing fraud. Now, if you would like to change your perspective and establish a culture of integrity where there is a solid amount of cognitive dissonance inside of your employees that can prevent smaller frauds, smaller wrongdoings that can develop into bigger scandals, I'm really happy if you contact me, visit our website, or follow me on LinkedIn. And I was really glad to be here to speak in front of you. If you are interested in more psychological aspects of white-collar criminality, actually this fall, in the next couple of weeks, my book's coming out, however, only in German language, with the title Greed, Power, Shame. It's translated into English. The motives of criminal managers, psychologically explained. I'm really happy if you buy it, more happy if you read it, and please let me know what you found interesting, but also what you found irritating about it, right? So my friend Peter and I, we're saying goodbye. Thank you so much for listening, for sharing your afternoon with us. And I'm very sure that some awesome speakers are coming in the next couple of hours. So please stay here, please listen to them, and have a great day. All the best. Bye.